Like, I don't want to be in charge of
No,
that.
I do think it's either programming or new member because they really plan events a lot.
Programming would make sense to me.
Yeah.
If I thought about it.
1 minute.
We're in the front. Love it.
I nominated kind of cool for vice president. So we're doing that time.
I'm not allowed to. I'm not eligible.
I haven't been initiated for 6 weeks.
True. I'd
Touch it. It's not for you.
But I would do it. I would. So whoever
No. If anyone's my dad, it's Jacob.
All right, everybody. It's 5:15, so we're gonna go ahead and call to order. Secretary Seeley, would you please dispense first roll call?
President Seeley.
Here.
Treasurer McLeod. Here. Parliamentarian Copeland. Here. Senator Meek. Here. Senator Brewer. Senator Stabenow. Senator Fair. Here. Senator Cunahan. Here. Senator Armstrong. Senator Daniels. Here. Senator McKinney. Senator Ivey. Here. Senator Simonini. Here. Senator Floyd. Here. Senator Mendenhall. Here. Senator Cano. Here. Senator Lumen. Here. Senator Smith. Senator Kaufman. Here. Senator Hendricks. Here. Senator Camarillo. Here. Senator Johnson. Here. Senator Williams. Here. Senator Abernathy. Here. Senator Cardenas. Senator Khan. Here. Senator Mendez. Here. Senator Mosley.
Here.
Senator Dare.
Here.
Oh, Senator Khan. Yes, sorry. Senator Dare.
Here.
Senator Chambers. Senator Cooper.
Here.
Senator Jawad.
Here.
Senator Morrison. Here. Senator Cole.
Here.
Senator Fancy. Senator Farouk.
Here.
Senator Nagarajan.
Here.
Senator Shankle.
Here.
All right. Can you put this? Sorry. I want to make sure I say everything. So is there any discussion over the minutes from last week? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving last week's minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any abstentions? All right, that passes. I believe we do have one new senator swear-in that remains. It's a Houston campus senator, which is exceptionally exciting. Is it possible to pull that up? And that is Ms. Lynn Nguyen from the Houston Engineering Center. Lynn, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Senator Nguyen, I know we can't see you, but is it possible you could repeat the swear-in after me?
Yes.
All right. Let's try and do this. It's not always easy on Zoom, so we're going to just do our best.
Sure.
All right. And again, we can't see you, but raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, insert your name,
I, Lynn Nguyen,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I shall faithfully represent
I am faithful to represent
the interests of the student body
the interests of student body
of the University of Texas at Tyler.
of the University of Texas at Tyler.
I shall dutifully uphold and preserve
I am grateful to preserve
the Constitution and bylaws
the Constitution bylaw
of the student body
of the student body
while ardently executing the office of Houston Engineering Center
while I execute the officer of Houston
of the Student Government Association
of the Student Association
of the University of Texas at Tyler.
of the University of Texas at Tyler.
All right, congratulations, Senator Nguyen.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to open forum. Is there anyone here for open forum? No? All right. And so first up on speaker's podium it lists Dr. Michael Tidwell, but just a few moments ago, Dr. Tidwell told us that he had an emergency, and so wonderfully, our very own provost, Dr. Amir Mamaran, has stepped in to come and give us some updates about what's going on in the president's cabinet, in the university, and sort of move us back around to some issues we tackled last semester, as well as take some of your questions. So anything that you were prepared to discuss with Dr. Tidwell, please still bring it up with Dr. Mamaran. Please still speak up. He can talk to Dr. Tidwell and most likely will be able to answer a good number of your questions. So please give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. I understand the president wanted to talk about this strategic plan, so I take this opportunity and bring up some of the things about the strategic plan so that you would know what activities are going on. First of all, the president had two very broad conversations with both faculty and the chairs in the summer time, and we discussed how we would be able to focus on the strategic plan and how we would be able to allocate resources. And as a result of that discussion, have allocation for every department to focus on a strategic plan. And as you know, the first and foremost important pillar of the strategic plan is the student success. And as we have branded this, that your success is our passion. And now what we are trying to do, make sure that the faculty would also, along with advisors and everybody else, would understand the importance of student success and how can we work together in that regard. So the funding is going in that direction. Every department is coming up with initiatives, and then we would be able to allocate funding to support this. I also have some very good news to share with you along the line of student success. This year, after 10 years, we have had monitored the freshman retention. So every fall semester, when we bring in a first-time full-time freshman, we monitor how many of them will return. And this year, we have the highest we have had over the last 10 years, 3 percentage points above last year. And we're hoping that with this excellent group of freshmen that we have this year coming in and joining us, we will be able to actually meet our expectation and reach the goal of 90% retention for freshmen next year. One of the things that we have found out is that the first 30 credits when the students come in is really important. And that's why we want to rely on you to make sure that the classmates of yours that will come to the university, we need the first 30 credits, whether they are freshmen or they are transfers, be it better bonding with them, whether it is in the classroom, whether it's outside the classroom. If we engage them better, they would do better, and we know that we will be able to retain them better. And once we retain them, we can graduate them. So it's very important that we create a community of the students and be able to work together. And I'm sure that the student governments will be help in that direction. I was also very pleased to receive the accountability report from the Coordinating Board of Higher Education in Texas. One of the pieces of information that I can share with you is that since 2015, our degree awarded has increased by 28%. That speaks volume as to the success of the academic side of the house in terms of being able to graduate more. Our retention, both 4-year and 6-year graduation, have also increased by 2.5 percentage points. And also another thing that we can see is that our enrollment, of course, has increased over the last few years, but the composition of the enrollment also has been diversified, and we have the largest growth actually among Hispanic students. So those are some of the positive things that I wanted to share with you about student success. One of the other elements of this strategic plan is the research and community engagement. I'm happy to let you know, and please do work with your faculty members, that next May we are planning to have the first ever East Texas Research Conference. With each and every one of you and your classmates, please do work with your faculty members on your research projects, and then you will be able to come in and present those ideas that you have and your work at the first ever East Texas Research Conference. That's a joint effort between University of Texas Tyler, Center at Tyler, Texas College, and Jarvis College, and we will be able to have that as a way to be able to help East Texas with the work in the classroom as well as what you do in the laboratory. We have a number of new programs, and hopefully we'll be able to initiate 2 for next coming year, in the coming year. And with that, I think one of the things that I wanted to mention was that if you remember last semester, I came and talked to you about the online and the concern that you had regarding the online proctoring of online exams. And I'm happy to say that we were able to put together a committee. We already have representatives of this government faculty senate as well. And we hope that by the end of this semester, we'll be able to come up with a full-fledged strategy on how to do the online proctoring. And also what we have done is that we have made sure that any faculty member that wants to do online proctoring, they would not put that as another burden on the students, so they would be on the proctor. And if you find out anything otherwise, please let us know, because we want to make sure that we cover any costs of online proctoring. And at the same time, we want to make sure quality of education is well attended. So those are the type of things that I wanted to make sure that I convey to you. And again, my apologies that we were not able to get the president here because he wanted to talk about this plan in more detail, but I'm sure that next. I will be happy to answer any question that you may have, and if I can't answer it, I will take it back to the president so that we will be able to discuss it at the next meeting.
From the beginning, you mentioned as part of retaining our freshmen, retaining all rounds, creating a sense of community going forward through the next 4 years. So my question is about our search for a mascot. Where's the university in that process? You know, have they thought about incorporating student input and how into the creation of something that is essentially student that is a mascot? They can't help with creating.
I think absolutely right on. Definitely the sense of community is not just what happens outside the field. So while I agree with you, I have to tell you my I'm from the academic side of the house. I can hold that information about the mascot. At the same time, I can everyone's input, prison, particularly. So definitely there will be an open process of gathering information from everybody. And I think this would be something that we definitely address, because the mascot would be one item that everybody can come around it and appreciate. That's why I want to put them. I would say that to the president.
So is there like a date plan, like for when, of a date plan when the mascot's supposed to be revealed, or when the mascot's supposed to be present?
Unfortunately, I don't have that information, but as I said, based on what I know and what I have seen in the past, the president has always been very open. There would be a period by which, through which you would be able to provide input to the president and to the marketing.
So I think in order to choose a mascot and have that community centered around that mascot, we need students' input. And we need to ask the students what they think. What are some of the ways that you guys are trying to engage students in the mascot discussion?
I once again apologize for not being part of the meeting in terms of what they actually doing for this. However, my take on it would be that definitely, just like what we're doing for online proctoring, there is a faculty input because faculty wants to control the quality of the online proctoring process, and there is a student input because we want to make sure that the students who are taking those exams are able to convey their concern. So the same thing would happen for mascot, not just students, there would be other constituents. I'm sure alumni would have their perspectives, the faculty and the staff would have their perspective, members of the community may have their perspectives, but definitely I'm sure that there would be an opportunity to reach out to students and seek their input.
I know you mentioned a board that has students and faculty on it. For each board does.
I understand you correctly, I was referring to a committee. Yeah. The committee is charged with coming up with a uniform or unified proctoring for online courses. The concern that was raised last semester was that, first of all, I signed up for this course until middle of the semester when the first exam is about to start. I don't know what are the requirements, and I don't know if the exam would be proctored or not. And based on whether I am on campus or off campus, there would be issues in terms of what device I should use. So what we did was that we said we're going to bring in faculty senators, faculty from different colleges that do have courses, as well as the Student Government Association representative, to sit together, discuss both the integrity of the process as well as what are the concerns that were raised. And one of the concerns we're able to address with the cost issue right off the bat. We said we're not going to make it a transfer of cost.
So you said that there was a increase.
We are hoping that some of the things that we have done are paying dividends. So a couple of years ago, we started with the notion of when I joined the university, in any university, any college, my affinity would have to be with the college that I go to. So if I have chosen a particular major, that's where I should be advised. The way we were doing it before, we were advising for the first 45 credits, we were advising the students centrally. And then the students were handed off to an advisor in the major. So as part of that, we were not building affinity with that particular major, with the faculty mentors. So feel that part of that modest increase that we have seen in retention is because of the shift in advising. And of course, one of the other things we're finding out is that, to follow on what you said, is advising is playing a major role. In fact, those students that we after the first year, they have stopped going to the right after semester. So what we are trying to do is try to be more proactive, try to reach out to students and figure out if there are issues that have nothing to do with academics that are out. If maybe we can address it. Are there financial issues? Are there issues in terms of being able to identify with classmates and with this community here? So what are the things that we
school and just identifying finding ways to move forward with the solution. Do you think student government meeting has its sole intention is to communicate with superiors to be welcome? And do you think it would have a place in able to be effective?
I think at the end of the day, it's a partnership, the way I see it. For us, on the both administration side of the house, as well as the faculty side of the house, we cannot be successful without knowing what the student. Even inside the classroom, I have talked to our faculty. The generation that is teaching is different from the generation that is learning. And that's why we need to adapt. We need to understand. So I would be foolish to say that we're not welcoming your input. We want your input. We want your involvement. And in fact, we like to see, without overwhelming surveys and committees, how can we best reach out to you and get input from you that would be well implemented as part of our strategic plan and student. So I would welcome any way that you guys think appropriate to convey your thoughts, whether it's related to student success. As you know, we had a very good career success conference. If it's related to student engagement, if it's related to research or community engagement, anything that you guys feel that we are not doing, and if we do it, it would help students succeed. We are able to retain them and graduate them and place them, we would definitely want to do.
What are your thoughts on students who are power step into university? What is speech power
on trying to how, a university, someone can say. You have a very good point. In fact, one of the data points that I did not, for brevity of time, I did not present to you was this. As part of the accountability report, they were looking at two sets of data. They're saying a student that started, let's say, fall of 14, did they graduate from UT Tyler by fall of 18 in 4 years? Or did they graduate anywhere within the state of Texas? And if you see the difference, you see that in 4 years, we may have graduated 30% of those who started with us. What about 5% graduated in 4 years? Just not here at UT Tyler. So that is true, that some of the students, I don't like to use for the stepping stone, but some of the students come to us, and then along the way, for whatever reason, they decide, or maybe they had that planet in their mind, if they were in fact CAP students, which is, as you may know, it's a program that Texas at Austin has, that you start for 1 year at one of the institutions, and then you transfer to Austin. That's legitimate. And in fact, what we need to think about is that our view of the student success is, was the student successful at the end of that 4 years? If they graduated, in my view, they're successful. Now, what we want to do is that we want to play a more important role in their success. And that's why, for us, it's important that they actually graduate from UT Tyler. But I don't look at it as a failure, because ultimately, now what we need to do is we need to say that, yes, you can go, for example, Austin as a CAP student, but you may not be able to get into engineering for the more than likely, and also business. So if you want to go to some of those fields, CAPS would not be the route. So we want to make sure that they understand that they can have as good a quality of education as anywhere else. And if there are issues that they choose a different, that will separate them from us, we want to see how we can overcome. So again, as you talk to your friends, as you talk to your classmates, if you find out that, oh, for the most part, they are leaving for this reason. I give you one example. We actually looked at the students that last year did not come back. We asked them that question. We found out that many of them decided to go to a college that was 100 miles or so closer to their home. So some of them may have come here from Houston, maybe here from Austin, and then they decided to go closer to their home. So some of those are understandable. At the same time, I agree with you. We want to see what role we can play to improve our retention of those students, because at the end of the day, we feel that we have a very good quality program.
With the accountability report that you mentioned, is there any kind of data on it, maybe an increasing value of a UT Tyler degree? Or do you know anything about that?
I think the most important value that you would see in terms of programs are generally placement. And I think some data in that, and I'd be happy to share with the president so that people feel, in fact, it's on the web for you to get. So we had very good placement of our students. The way they look at it is that you look at the graduates of our programs, and on average, what percentage of them go to graduate school or go to the marketplace and have a job. And I think we had very reasonable, 85 to 90% of our students pursuing either graduate programs or going to job market immediately after graduation. So that to me is representative of value. Some other institutions don't have that data yet. Some other institutions try to monetize that and say, what is the average salary of your graduates after? So those data, we don't have, unfortunately, that information. And again, depends on the majors and so forth. So that's really not a good indication. But in terms of the impact, I think overall the university can say that we have had significant impact on the community, because we can look at that graduate from here, or even the time that they are here, what economic impact they have on the region. For example, most recently, about 3-4 months ago, we were given an opportunity to present our proposal to the coordinating board for a new program, which is a PhD in clinical psychology. And we were thinking that this would actually require a lot of convincing the the first thing that we heard from the board members was that I think Texas needs that, and in fact, this would be a great economic impact for the community because there are a lot of opportunities for their graduates. So those are the type of things that we want to hear. We want to be responsive to of
I was going to ask, you mentioned earlier that you changed the advising for the freshmen and that seems to help retain them. What else are you doing to help retain freshmen?
one of the things that we have started this year is what we call a good, strong team, which is the team that we have put together that every week they will meet. That includes from financial aid to advising to faculty members, different those who are able to provide funding in terms of scholarship and so forth, so that they would be able to intervene if we find out from the faculty member that this student is having difficulty. How can we guide them to go in the right direction? How would we be able to address their needs with microloans or the type of thing that they may need to be able to, if they're working too much, how can we address or alleviate some of it? So we are trying to be much more intentional about intervening the challenges rather than waiting to the end of the semester and seeing if the student has actually come back for an advising session.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Something I remember when you were talking about Proctor and kind of the resolution of that problem. What I remember from last semester was the university was looking at making the online proctor required for all online classes. Is that still something they're going to do, or are they just going to be waiting for the courses so we can decide to use them?
We're not going to make it required for every course. We're going to defer to the faculty. However, we want to make sure two things happen. Number one, if the student is not charged for proctoring, and number two, if they're registered, they know exactly what the proctoring is. And also, if they go from one course to another, it will not be two different proctoring. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. All right. Okay. We have our representative from the disc golf team here. I'm so sorry. I swear I butchered your last name earlier. How do you pronounce it?
My name is Adam Rashadmi.
All right.
I'm the founder and president of the Disc Golf Club, which we started at the beginning of this year. We had a couple goals for the team, and we'll actually have the mission statement on here, so we'll kind of like the mission statement of the club. I created this PowerPoint at the beginning of the year, and I've gotten a lot accomplished so far. I wish I could give you. But mainly the mission is to be able to find a channel of communication between any students and disc golfers that like to be part of this group and be able to go out a couple times a week and get some disc golf. And we are one of 146 universities that have disc golf course on the club or on university campus. And it just happens to be owned by SGA at this point. It used to be owned by the school. The disc golf, the sport is rapidly growing, 9% increase of members from the PDGA, the Professional Disc Golf Association. Fundraising, merchandise such as shirts, backpacks, pay to play, really get that, like the speaker said earlier, kind of get the student involvement. That's kind of, I think that's the reason why a lot of students will stay at the university is staying longer because they enjoy extracurricular activities, not just school and classes. Yeah. I'm asking for a little bit of funding from SGA and any other possible means. Just for course maintenance and updates, because the course is owned by SGA, so it had to go through student government for that. Tournament prizes, club t-shirts, fundraising discs, bag tags, and possibly gas to travel to other schools. I've been in contact with SFA and UNT that have disc golf clubs, and they were very open to coming out and competing against some of those guys, having our team come out and their team play at a course in Stephenville or Denton or recruitment, social media presence. I got permission from faculty team members at the university to be able to have a social media page at the College Disc Golf Club. So that'll be starting up pretty shortly. Just got a page on the Rec Club website. If you visit the Rec Club website and any of you guys are disc golfers, go fill out a form. So if you guys are interested, I'll contact you. You'll put you in a group message and kind of go out once a week. At this point, we're going out every Friday. Last week we had 5 people come in, but that's not too bad for the disc golf club starting 2 weeks ago. But yeah, really hosting a booth at the Club Sports Day in the spring. It's due in the fall, the Club Sport Day. There's one in the spring, so I post a booth over there to get people involved and kind of start going out and playing out the West every week or so. Hanging up signs around campus, learn to play clinics, really get the students involved. Word of mouth, and of course, is really the best way. I go out there a couple times a week, and I see people playing out there by themselves. So I feel like, hey, come join the club and start playing with a couple guys because people are less likely to go out there by themselves. So we're trying to get a group together, get around it. So yeah, the UC Tyler Disc Golf Club, disc golf course owned by SGA and established in 2006. In 2006, it was made the right way. Everybody, the brand new baskets, set up really nice off Old Lowman and University. 18 holes, 9 holes between Old Lowman and University on that little area behind the intramural fields. There are 4 holes in the woods now, and then 5 around the Harvey Lake. So the old 9 baskets used to be set up where the new business building is. We're right where we are now, actually. Right now, there's 2 prone and grass tee pads set up. Tee signs at most tee pads. A couple of them missing. But yeah, like I said earlier, a couple of the baskets are moved. This is the disc golf course review. What a lot of the players, the disc golfers, will go to see kind of if they should play that course or not. So 3.28 is a pretty good rating out of 5. A little bit of problem with disc golf course. Potentially hazardous tee pads. There's kind of, like, I included some pictures on here, so there's kind of some big erosion and kind of standing tee pads. You kind of don't really want to throw in this big ditch in the ground. Multiple broken and rusted baskets when you're going out there to putt, and you don't hit the change because sometimes on a couple of baskets, like you'll see a couple pictures later on, that there's no change there anymore because they're just rusted away. Missing tee signs located at the shorter tee pads, and it's kind of difficult to manage or navigate the course because the baskets will move back 9 holes because of the addition. So yeah, this is hole 1 and hole 5. You kind of see at the bottom right here, there's big rocks in the way, and if you're trying to make your little run up and throw, it can be difficult or hazardous. And 5 is kind of sandy little area, so it'd be unsafe for any new people. And here's like the baskets I was like saying earlier. There's hole 12. You can't really see it too great in this one, but some of the chains are just completely rusted away. And then those couple baskets are on an angle. And then there's the tee pad for hole 9. It's kind of just a big piece of rock under there, and it's just sand on top of it. So it's kind of slippery, and kind of same thing for hole 12. Just some more rusted baskets that kind of need either replacing or maintenance. Getting noticed by the student body, a big upgrade to the course would definitely get involvement in the disc golf club to increase a lot, and especially the use of the disc golf course. My plan is for Patriot Days, setting up a tournament so all the students could get involved, and then winners get a prize and stuff like that, kind of for something for part of the Patriot Days. But the goal is to really set up once a week, once every 2 weeks, have tournaments for all the students that want to play and compete against each other. That gets the students involved in golfing. Course upgrades I really push for. The majority of disc golfers, concrete tee pads are kind of the thing. We did have a meeting this morning, and we need permission from the space committee to be be able to put up concrete tee pads because it is changing the ground and area. Multiple tee pad areas have large rocks like I did cast down in the picture. Potentially hazardous. Really what I'd like from you guys is, are any funds available to restore this golf course to the fullest potential? Tree trimming and tree removal, I had a meeting this morning, kind of talked to the facilities manager, and we kind of got that figured out for the most part. I just got to talk to him a little bit more about some of those holes in the trees like you talked about earlier. It's when it's spring, those trees are growing and the leaves are coming out, so it's harder to throw the disc through that line until they get to the basket. And then more for you guys. So our faculty advisor is JJ Massey, and that's him on the left. And then Brandon, I can't remember his last name, he's faculty of the IT department. So they've kind of been helping us kind of work with the club. But this is from 2011, I think, I believe. But I was also asking for funding from the Senators program, or Senators project, like I said.
I don't know if that are y'all in the organization for Day?
Yes.
So y'all are registered at the
Yes, we got through Student Life, we put the Constitution, risk management policy, roster, went through all that at the beginning of the year, went through Josh Eaves, and talked to Tyler Hartley, the new record sports department head, and Rick McGill. Gone through all the faculty at this point.
So by going through rec, that means they provide like this.
They do right now. They do provide some. They're actually all putters. So if you're going out there for the first time, you kind of want to throw a driver, not just a putter. Putter's not going to be as strong. But they do provide some. If you go to the front at the HBC, you can give your student ID in. They'll trade out a bag at this point. You can go there.
You know how much an estimated cost of all the changes? Like,
yes, I do have a piece of paper that I did have out. So the pricing for baskets is going to be about $5,000 just for all new baskets. That's 18. I've heard the option of just buying 2 at a time and then just each semester, kind of over time, switch them out. Concrete tee pads would be at $1,400. Depending on how much labor we can get from the university or other facilities, that could lower that price too. No, for all 18s. The tee signs are gonna be like $60 a piece, depending on, and we're only missing 5 or 6.
first of all, I think it's so cool that this golf club. And I understand, like, of course, when you're saying hard to play, not very safe to play, and every single time you bring up putter, I think it's not putter.
Yeah.
But like, do you think it's like a 5-year plan together? Like, I know that you said like the baskets every semester, but like, is all this get fixed like now, or would that like close the sports?
No, the baskets would be in and out in like 10 minutes, however long it takes to change a basket. It's just a nut in the bolt monthly. But if we could do it all at once, that would be even better. Over time, it wouldn't matter too much, but it'd be nice to have all new equipment for every hole all at once. But yeah, I really like concrete tee pads, but I do need to get permission from the base committee, which the guy spoke earlier about. So we'll need to get permission from them before we can actually make concrete tee pads, because it has changed a little bit. But baskets are completely fine just because it's switching it out right there.
What is the expected lifespan of a basket?
I do not know that.
I mean, plays 12 years.
Okay,
We're just now talking about.
Yeah, I'd say
Isn't
almost
it
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many active?
10. we did start at the beginning of the semester, so I think that 10 people is quite a bit for at the beginning. But there's so many other students out there. Like we haven't put any banners up yet, which is still in progress because we got the information from multiple people be able to use their. They have to look at it before we post it on the bulletin. But there's more players out there. I've been on the course multiple times. I told one person and 2 people and 3 people. So it's mainly just finding those players from good body. But I know there's definitely. But yes, 10.
Savannah, this is a question for you. Is SGA owned also comparable size that we
Okay,
care
so
of?
actually, we've been kind of chewing on this and working on it for a couple weeks now before we wanted to give y'all sort of an update and talk about what possible options are. SGA does not currently own anything at all. What we've done since I've been here and since Josh, our advisor, has been, we've purchased things in order for other we've purchased things that are beneficial to the student body, yeah? And then it sort of falls under the care of another department, that sort of responsibility is transferred to them because they don't have to make the initial large fund purchase for whatever that may be. A good example is the bike racks that were purchased, the water fountains in the past, as well as we've purchased paddle boards for adventure sports and other equipment such as that. And so we don't own those. However, this was done so long ago. This purchase and this sort of this installation and creation of this disc golf course was done back in 2006. I don't have any of those records. No one on campus has those records for what the plan was for how it would be upkept and maintained over the years. So it's been 12 years. It's been longer than 12 years. And so we're seeing that these updates need to be made. And we met with Rec Sports and with facilities. And sort of the next idea is that we would request for the space committee to designate the area on campus as solely the disc golf course. Because currently it's like we have holes on campus. We don't have a course on campus. And that's like a fuzzy distinction, but hopefully everyone's kind of getting what I mean. Are we good with that? Okay. So that's why some holes have been moved. The tee pads have been changed. Tee signs, maps have been changed. The idea is that if the space committee will designate the course is the course, and that is all it will be, then those changes can't be made anymore. And SGA could contribute to some of those repairs, like new tee signs or concrete tee pads out of the Senator Project Fund, or even possibly, since it does seem as though we would own this currently, SGA has a maintenance line that we could look into using. I'm not totally sure how that would work. We've never used it for something like this, but we're looking into taking care of this that has our name and our brand on it, and then going forward with it the way we have with other things, where rec sports and outdoor adventure sports would sort of be the stewards and the main part of this course. It's just never been like that before, and I think it's because that sort of best practice was developed after this course was bought, which was so long ago, before any of us were ever here. So that's kind of where that's at, and wanted to really put this on your radar and get some questions and possible feedback for going forward with this process. Adam's been so great, done so much research, and I've just been trying to help him as much as I can so that y'all can have a lot of information when it comes to using these funds that we've been gifted by the administration to help improve like campus life for students.
But yeah, no, like she said, I forgot where I was going with that.
Sorry.
Or to see funds solve these issues. Where do you see this golf growth potential? What would you think is like success?
Success for me would seeing 10, 20 people show up weekly to play with a bunch of other students. Even if it's just like, oh, I do remember the thing I was going to say with her, is we'd be able to volunteer as a group or as an organization to clean up the course, and that kind of would be our long-term thing. But yeah, no, just be able to keep students involved weekly, just keeping people social, like them having a good time. Just like he was talking about earlier, just the retainment of keeping students that like to transfer out after. Want to keep those students in. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Do you want my email? A Bishadny, BIESIANY at patriots.utahpower.edu. But TA here, so you can also do at utahpower.edu. I'll still be here. Being able to host tournaments at the course, just getting students out, either at like the beginning or at the end of each semester, maybe before finals week, obviously, but getting kind of playing like a little tournament. That's where the prizes were, like fundraising, those discs or whatever fundraisers give out for the money that we raise from fundraising would go to prizes at the tournament. But the goal is to make it 100% free at the beginning, and if people want to start putting in money at the end for and see what happens. More questions?
All right. So we'll go ahead and move on to officer reports. That with Adam and with facilities, rec sports, adventure sports, that's sort of been something that I've been working on this past week, as well as last week I had a one-on-one with Dr. Tidwell and brought up a lot of things that he was going to talk about this week, and so you can imagine my disappointment when he was not here, but things do come up, and I hope that everything is well with him. As you can see, and I'm sure some of you already know, there have been a couple of structural changes to the executive board. Katie Hicken is no longer with us, and so I'm just gonna, no, not, oh, she didn't die, oh my god. No, I didn't even think about it like that, I'm so sorry. No, she's very much alive and well, very much so. She's no longer an SGA, that's where I'm getting at. I'm so sorry. Even more embarrassed, oh my god. What? Oh, good. Anyway, so I'm just going to quickly talk about the process for what happens next, because that will be coming up again later in the agenda. First being that it's laid out very detailed in the Constitution bylaws. So if you have any questions, try and check that out, and then if you're still need some more information or have some different questions, definitely send us an email, come by our office hours. I would love to talk in more detail about that with you. So pretty much what happens then, because the Constitution lays out a line of succession, which would mean if someone is no longer eligible, if they leave school, if they resign, then this is how the position gets filled. And that looks like president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, parliamentarian. And so the first sort of part of this process is for the secretary to either fill the vacant seat or pass it to the next person in the line of succession. And so what's happened in this case is that Secretary Seeley has elected to fill the vacant seat. And so then the secretary position became open, and it continues through succession that way. So Treasurer McLeod elected to not fill the vacant secretary seat, as did Parliamentarian Copeland. So that is the seat that is officially empty, and will move on to the next phase of this process, which is tonight in new business. The first thing that we will do is to open up nominations for the secretary seat, and there will be an internal election held next week. There's 4 things that are also laid out in the Constitution that make someone eligible to be nominated. The first being that you are enrolled as a full-time student at UT Tyler. You have to have 12 hours. You are in good standing with the university, meaning that you paid all your bill and tuition, fees, everything, as well as you're not under any sort of sanction or investigation with judicial affairs. Third is that you have a GPA of 2.5. We hold our officers to a higher standard and want them to have good grades. That's laid out in the Constitution from before I came here. And the final thing being that you've been a senator in SGA for 6 weeks from your swearing date. So those are the 4 things that you have to sort of have or be in order to be nominated later on. Are there any questions? Like, so good?
Wait a minute. I know that the Constitution says that in order to file for candidacy or campaign, because this is a special election, there's a filing, that's the nomination process. In fact, the filing is redacted from the because section 4, 5, and 10 of the code are going to be for special election. And seeing as how there is a hearing process, I was wondering why this one.
It's being held to the same standard.
The executive board, along with Josh, are holding to the same standard just because it makes it simple, and we do need the spot currently held. Going along with that, we do believe that while freshman senators or the new senators in general are qualified, that we do like someone with a little bit more experience held within within the executive board spot. If there is no one that is available, then we will open it up to the new senator.
But that interpretation of holding it to the same standard, because this section that you're talking about that's null and void is not included in the qualifications. We're treating it as it's still active. If that's something you would like to bring before the judicial board, they could interpret that, but our advisor has interpreted this as still being part of the qualifications. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. That's an excellent question. So then after nominations today, anyone that meets those 4 requirements can be nominated and then seconded. The nomination does have to be seconded. Okay, I'm just checking because he is on top of it with this info and reading through the Constitution. Oh, and also because it has to be, okay. No, okay. So because of the seconded part, I guess, or this was something that was brought up by Advisor Neves, we can't nominate ourselves. Does that make sense? Or yes?
I wonder if it would be prudent to allow everyone to be nominated, and as if by the bylaws allow to go through in the 1-week interlude and decide whether or not people are eligible based on the different.
The interpretation of this specifically has been based on the fact that the 6-week stipulation is there for a reason. That a senator with 6 weeks experience could essentially step into a executive board position and make it a smooth transition, because there's a lot less training information to be taken care of, especially in a situation like this when we're partway through the semester and it's already going to be a madhouse of getting someone into a new position, as well as training Secretary Seeley, or now Vice President Seeley, in a new position. That 6-week stimulation has been there for a long time and is there for a reason. And so, and in the interest of where the bylaws and the Constitution say that when this process is going on, the seat has to be filled as soon as possible. That we're continuing as the Constitution says, sort of very, very plainly. And I believe that we can get the judicial board this before the judicial board if that's what you want in this 1-week interlude, and if they interpret differently or rule differently, then we can reopen them. I think that would be probably a best practice.
There was a case, which is actually how President Seeley was into parliamentarian about 2 years ago
When I was a sophomore.
when she was a sophomore, and this same standard was held then also.
At that time, the parliamentarian had taken an internship out of state, so she resigned for the summer. And the first week of school, there was an internal election, and that's how I report. So that standard was held then, and that's sort of what we're looking at now, because that was my first year here, and that was our advisor Josh Neve's first year. And so that's kind of what we're working with, because I don't know the last time this has ever happened before, other than that time. Anyhow, from the nominations to next week the nominees will have an opportunity to address the Senate one at a time, and then the Senate will have the opportunity to ask questions, and we'll have a private ballot that will be done on Qualtrics, so we'll vote internally at that time. Are we all making sense? Does it feel like it's... Okay, so at this time, I'll go ahead and move into the next officer reports, which is now Vice President Seeley. She'll talk for that and for the secretary for now. This week and next week, she'll still be serving both roles with the assistance of all the rest of the executive board. It's a hefty task, but we're doing our very best.
Hi guys. So, I don't know if you've seen Katie Higgins' Twitter, but she did accept a research position. And in furtherance of her future and her career, she believed it was best to step down from her position as chair. She will be very dearly missed. We're also really good friends. But I've decided to take this position because I think that I'm more than qualified. I'm very passionate about planning and executing events. I've done very diligent work as secretary. I do not feel as I'm fulfilled here. I'm really excited to be vice president, and I'm excited to train someone new as secretary. Already been working on planning events and things that SG has done before, hopefully to get some student engagement.
Hey y'all, so last week, y'all took SBA training. I spent a lot of time working on that, and so I'm glad that a lot of y'all came out and we had a great time. I was very productive. I'm glad to hear no signal. We picked up a lot of trash, and so I hope that you better. And also I've just been emailing around trying to get all this stuff for this meeting.
Parliamentarian coach.
So yeah, this past week I've been mostly focused on the training. Hope that all went well and hope y'all all learned something. Makeup trainings are scheduled on Canvas through Message. Those are just time slots. You don't actually have to show up from like start to finish. Just show up during those times. Those are our office hours. So we should be there. If we're not in there right then, we'll be there within like 15 minutes. Okay? And then the early part of the week has been preparing for Katie's resignation. I do say that Secretary Seeley is more than qualified. I am her office, like share office buddy. She's a lot of good plans coming to SGA, and so really excited.
So we'll go ahead and move into student voice reports. First up is Ornelas Hall. Where are you guys at? Oh, thanks. All right. Next is going to be University Pines. Yes.
Myself, myself, and anything if the all of your with our information on it so that they know that it's a problem, then they can contact one of us and the
Thank you, Senator Chairs. I look forward to hearing during your follow-up. And then our last on student voice reports is Victory Village. Yes.
So I haven't talked to at universities, but
try to get.
So I actually have a small tidbit of information about the gate thing, the cart. Are you talking about the cartway?
Yeah.
Yes, it's because currently there are still tenants whose leases weren't up, that are not UT Tyler students. So they can't install those card readers yet because it would block those students out of their home. They've already been informed their leases aren't being renewed because we bought Victory Village kind of at the end of last year. Some people had leases through whenever, and can't exactly kick them out. So those card readers, I believe, are in the plans for once it's solely UT Tyler students in that facility. But great thinking, and I'm so glad you're not the only one who is thinking about that and the safety of students there. So we will move on to student voice report follow-ups, and we will start with the College of Education and Psychology.
So I talked to IT guy, said that he was going to work with the professors about the training on how to set up if it's not working right. There's new equipment that they're trying to push on teachers now that professors don't know things, so that's what they're doing.
Sounds like a good start. We also, sorry, like one, Patriot Village. Sorry. Our Patriot Village is fine. We had quite a few centers turn in absence forms. I'm not really sure if they're. And last would be Liberty Land.
So I emailed Aubrey Wright, worked there, our schedule haven't quite worked out yet, but we're going to be and looking to sit down who I contact and work with right issues that are specific.
Also, if you'd like to discuss with her from your meeting with her, she has any ideas for someone else who might be interested in being your counterpart in that entity there, so that you are having all the assistance and Liberty Landing has all the representation that it can have. And the last thing before we get into some business is going to be committee reports. Student life.
I do not believe Katie helped me. No. But communications, we made digital flyers for all of the events for Patriot Days next week. It starts October 8th, and it actually goes to the 13th for the concert. So yeah, there's a lot of cool events going on. Attend, rep SGA. Please. I finally got access to the Twitter and the Instagram. Thank God. So I'm gonna keep posting on that. And on our notifications, reach kids, tell your friends. Thank you.
SGAC.
Okay, so SGAC met today with two organizations. They approved the math club for $47 for a week, and the Plant and Ecological Society for $85 for the pumpkin patch fooding event held on October 19th.
Thank you, SGAC. Rules and Student Affairs.
So, Rules Committee and Student Affairs Committee meets on Tuesday at 1. Thank you for everyone who showed up. We actually have a really good crowd. So, Rules Committee this week, we focused primarily on the Constitution, make sure that everyone was clear and that the around this whole process that we're going through right now. Student Affairs Committee, we worked on a resolution. We have one prepared. We're not going to present it tonight, primarily for the fact that we were hoping to get some input from Dr. Tidwell. Some of the language is aggressive.
We have aggressive goals, guys.
Aggressive goals, not. Yeah. So so we're gonna meet again. Take what we learned tonight and just go over it again. Make sure that everything's correct and how SGA wants to be represented.
All right. And lastly, our sidewalk committee.
So we had a meeting yesterday.
So I will just take a moment to remind everyone, I know that there's a lot of new faces. What? Okay, that there is a quiz on Canvas that you need to take. If you haven't taken it, pull out your phone and take it right now, please, please, please. It's how we're keeping track of who is in committees and who is not, and we'll also keep track of attendance at committee. So basically your response to that quiz is gonna help us out, and so we're not hunting and tracking you down or giving you absences when you don't actually deserve them. And so please help us out by taking that. If you haven't taken it by the end of the day, Friday, we're going to send you a personal message like, we'll come find you. Join a committee. We need you. But that's it. Please help us out with that. It is up. So if anyone. Oh, good question. Please click on it.
Oh, it worked.
It still works?
Mhm.
Okay.
It was locked like yesterday.
Oh, sweet. Thanks. Yeah, if that ever happens again, just like let us know that we goofed, and we'll fix it. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and move on to old business. Is there any old business? Okay, I'll add it. I think we made that before sidewalk committee was created. I think we published that, but I will add sidewalk committee. Just text me when. Again, for my. I get them very confused. Sorry. Now, for real this time, is there any old business? All right. In new business, I believe we will go ahead and start with a senator appointment. Sir, would you please? Yes, okay, sorry. This is Mark Stewart, and he's here with interest in our open seat in the student body at large category. So just tell us a little bit about what your interest is in that field.
Particularly, I'm really interested in having a more hands-on say just getting involved in student government. It's not something I've ever been involved with. Learning about things that are fun. I think I represent a portion of the population here in school that we go unrepresented. Just from a brief in this meeting, kind of looking around. I'm a non-conventional student. Went to UNT directly out of high school. Then spent years abroad. I've lived in Guatemala, I've lived in Germany. Been my yoga teacher training in India, and worked in film for 3 years. And then I went to a hacker convention in Vegas last year. Had like a religious experience there. Again, realizing that I was exposed to something I knew nothing about, and that's what inspired me to TUT here. And I'm doing an IT degree. Every single one of my classes was right upstairs, next to each other. And I sought to get involved with SGA last year. There's no vacancy, and so a booth set up with the UC the other day, and gave my information. Last week, I got an email saying 100. Does anyone have any questions?
What is your graduation date?
Approximately next December, but that could be the following May, depending on what courses are allowed to take in the semester, because they vary. Yeah.
Oh, Emily, did you have a question? Okay. Sorry. I'm like on a swivel, and I'll ask you privately. Okay. Sorry, it's a long walk. All right. So at this time, will any discussion over the possible appointment? I know a lot of you haven't seen this process before. So when there's a vacancy that's after an election, but also really far out from the next election, I have the opportunity to appoint students to those seats that have significant interest in SGA. However, I don't just get to throw them in and say, here you go. You have to hear them out. They address you. You get to discuss, and then you will vote to approve their appointment to that seat. So that's what this next part of what about to go down.
So I was the one at the election booth that he approached. This is just my conversation with him. So he approached and I was like, "Do you want to vote?" And he said, "No, I actually want to join, and I'm interested in joining." So right off the bat, he was very interested. He wants to do stuff for the campus. And I just think that he's a good fit for the student body at large. He kind of covers a basis that we don't have kind of covered by everyone. So in my opinion, I think he's at least a good senator for that spot.
Alrighty. Whenever you, did he say why he was, why did he run in this election?
We didn't really get onto that topic specifically. I think it was just the fact that I don't know. I actually don't know that the answer specific to that question.
Yeah, I mean, filing.
Does anyone have anything new to add to discussion?
I think having someone like him to represent the non-traditionals needs to be.
So we'll go ahead and move into voting. All those in favor of appointing Mark Stewart to the vacant seat in the student body at large, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Are there any abstentions? All right, that passes. Bring it back in. Oh, I have to do the swearing again. Got this, guys.
At least it's the first.
Yeah.
What's that? This one?
I think
That's what it is.
so. Like you saw earlier, I do solemnly swear that I shall faithfully represent
That I shall faithfully represent
the interests of the student body
the interests of the student body
of the University of Texas at Tyler.
University of Texas.
I shall dutifully uphold and serve
Shall dutifully uphold and serve
the Constitution and bylaws
the Constitution and bylaws
of the student body
of the student body
while ardently executing the office of
while ardently representing the student body
of the Student Government Association
student body
Student Government
Student
Association
Government Association
of the University of Texas at Tyler.
University of Texas.
Yes, you can go ahead and sit here, and then you're more than welcome to participate in the rest of discussion and voting from here on to forever, I guess. So the next thing under new business is going to be the nominations for the vacant secretary seat. So at this time, just raise your hand, I'll call on you, and you can nominate whoever you feel fit. I saw Senator Coonahan first. I nominate Casey.
Second.
Are you seconding both of those?
Second vote.
Okay. And so those have been seconded, so go ahead. Senator Morrison,
I nominate Blake Hendricks.
can you second it? All right. All right, are there any other nominations? Right. All right. Like I said, that's going to be the end of that for this week. Next week, those nominees will address you guys, and you'll have the opportunity to ask some questions and then vote, and we'll fill that seat. So that's fantastic. Is there any other new business? Once. All right. We'll move on to advisor comments. Is Josh still on Zoom? Josh? He's not on there anymore? Okay, he was on there. He's in Washington DC for the rest of this week. And also in the back there, we have Sean Rogers and Chase Ragland, also from the Office of Student Engagement and the Office of Veterans Affairs. So no comments from you guys? All thumbs up? Thank you so much for being here and helping us out. Are there any announcements? No? Great. Set. Vice President Seeley.
Patriot Day. Go to the event. Rep SGA. Wear your t-shirt. If you don't have a t-shirt, come to my office. Be there after 1 o'clock tomorrow. Sean will be I'm up there tomorrow. Friday. Yeah.
Bless you.
We'll be there Friday, so come get your SGA t-shirt. If you don't have one. Is it Chase Bryant?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. So go to that.
So as Dr. Memoran spoke about earlier about the proctoring committee, so I am that one SGA senator on that. And so like we talked about this in our last meeting 2 weeks ago, but I wasn't approved to actually announce it to y'all until today. But if anybody is interested in being a part of that committee, let me know, because Dr. Colleen Swain has informed the committee that she wants a lot of student input. And so that, just let me know if you're interested in it, and I can get you in contact with Dr. Swain and Scott Dillingham. So. The online proctoring committee that Dr. Memoran was talking about earlier.
It's a university.
I'm sorry, yes, it's a university committee.
Also, sorry, I had notes, but then I wrote on top of them, so I forgot this earlier. I'm currently looking for 3 students that will be here for the remainder of this academic year and 1 more academic year to serve on the Medical Services Advisory Committee. So that committee, they meet, our current Dean of Students, Ms. Kim Hardy-Livingston, said that they meet 3 to 4 times a year. So that's once or twice a semester. So if anyone is interested in that, please contact me. I would love to have SGA on there as well as some non-SGA students. So please let me know. And I think that was my only announcement. And I meant to tell y'all earlier, I'm really sorry. Is that it? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion, please. Senator Morrison.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning, please. Oh, is that before or after? I always get that confused. I'm before. Okay, second roll call. Sorry.
President Seeley.
Here.
Treasurer McLeod. Parliamentarian Cook.
Here.
Senator Meek. Senator Brewer. Senator Stabenow. Senator Fairs. Senator Cunahan. Senator Armstrong. Senator Daniel.
Here.
Senator McKinney. Senator Ivey. Senator Cox. Senator Simonini. Senator Floyd. Senator Mendenhall. Senator Cano. Senator Loomis. Senator Smith. Senator Kaufman. Senator Hendricks. Senator Camarillo. Senator Johnson. Senator Williams. Senator Abernathy. Senator Cardenas.
Here.
Senator Mendez. Here. Senator Mosley.
Here.
Senator Dare.
Here.
Senator Chambers. Senator Cooper. Here. Senator Jawad.
Here.
Senator Morrison.
Here.
Senator Cole. Here. Senator Pantene.
Here.
Senator Farouk.
Here.
Senator Nagarajan. Senator Schenkel.
Here.
Senator. Senator Stewart.
Here.
So sweet. Now, Senator Morrison.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm really sorry again. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Are there any abstentions? Thank you. Would the three nominees please stay and have a quick chat with me?
Is it right?